Imagine India's cricket team. They have the same lineup, irrespective of where they're playing. Okay, so let's say if they're playing in India, if they're playing in Australia, or they're playing in England, will it be logical for India to be playing the same team in all the three places? How can you have a portfolio which is exactly the same way allocated, irrespective of the market conditions?
Timing the market is like extreme difficult thing.
Yes.
How would the fund ensure that happens?
What we are saying is that we are not here to predict the markets. मैंने चालू किया 2007 में, 2008 में ही मार्केट 60% डाउन, उसके बाद 2011 में वापस आई सॉ बिग फॉल, उसके बाद मैंने 2015 में करेक्शन देखा, 2018 में मैंने IL&FS क्राइसिस देखा, 2020 में मैंने कोविड देखा, 2022 में मैंने रशिया यूक्रेन देखा, एंड देन लेट्स से अभी का पीरियड कि भाई 2 साल से मार्केट नहीं बढ़ा है, पैसे नहीं बना रहा है.
Why multi-asset fund?
आप ये सोचिए, मेरा पूरा का पूरा 100 रुपया निफ्टी में है, विच इज हम लोग के हिसाब से इज द बेस्ट जनरेटिंग और बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग एसेट क्लास. उसने 11.5% का CAGR जनरेट किया है. हमने डायनामिकली एलोकेट करके
Majority of multi-asset funds are into equity, 60-80%.
Now imagine if that one asset class fails, then how is the portfolio going to be resilient? 20 के नीचे अगर जो current piece है तो मार्केट सस्ता है, 20 के ऊपर है तो मार्केट महंगा है. Now here the simple assumption is कि जो last 10 साल में average PE ratio था वही आगे चलते रहेगा. Is that necessary? That's going to happen?
Not really.
In our portfolio, median returns are around.
But if you go by the mandate which says that minimum 10% allocation होना चाहिए 3 asset class.
Yes.
We have a lot of multi-asset funds out there already. So my question is what would be your edge?
तो इन 20 सालों में the maximum fall जो हमने निफ्टी में देखा है from highest to lowest point is around 60%. जो हमारे केस में वो रिड्यूस होके 13-13.5%. लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स ये भी होता है कि लोग बोलते हैं कि भाई I'm okay with a sharp drawdown, बट जैसे ड्रॉडाउन होता है बिहेवियर चेंज होता है.
We have seen another new entrant testing their digital distribution first, not traditional MFD route.
Right.
So what would be your plan?
That's the reason I'm sitting here, Kanishka.
Welcome to Investing with FYERS, the show where we sit down with fund managers, market practitioners, and investors who have actually built something, lost something, and learned something worth sharing. Today's guest is Bhautik Ambani, CEO of AlphaGrep Investment Management. Bhautik has spent the better half of 2 decades at the intersection of institutional finance and systematic investing across Avendus Capital, where he helped build one of India's largest onshore hedge funds. And before that at Ambit, Kotak Wealth Management and Mirae Asset. He has been recognized as one of India's most promising finance professionals in the 40 under 40 category. And today, he's running the India asset management business of AlphaGrep. Now, last time Bhautik was on the show, we went deep into the philosophy behind quant investing, what it actually means to build a fund on math rather than market opinion, why systematic strategies don't panic when markets fall, and what gives AlphaGrep its edge on over 30 global exchanges. You can find the link on the I button. Do check that out if you haven't yet. Now today we are on a different note. We will understand if these institutional grade investing techniques actually work for a retail mutual fund investor in India. AlphaGrep has just launched its maiden NFO, the multi-asset allocation fund, and Bhautik is back to make the case. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to Investing with FYERS, Bhautik.
Thank you, Kanishka. Pleasure is mine.
So, Bhautik, last time when you came to our show, we talked about the principles of quant investing.
Yes.
And that was soon after AlphaGrep got, SEBI's approval for the mutual fund schemes. So, my first question is, now, as we speak, you have come up with your maiden fund,
Yes.
multi-asset fund.
We are really excited about it.
Yes. Why multi-asset fund?
What we generally think is that when we are talking about quant, we are only going to be using quant for deploying for stock selection. Whereas a more important principle out here is how do you actually allocate your assets?
Yes.
Or how do you allocate your money across different asset classes? And there is enough and more empirical evidence which basically says that asset allocation or right asset allocation actually generates better alpha over a period of time rather than security selection or just picking the right stocks or picking the right funds, right? Which means to get your asset allocation right is very important. And hence, from our point of view, we said, from our capabilities, let us first deploy this capability in terms of getting the right asset allocation and doing it dynamically using some of the processes that we've been following or some of the models that we've been following in the past and use that for a multi-asset strategy. So the fund that we've come up with, what it does is that it does two layers of alpha generation. One is at the asset allocation itself. And the second one is at a security selection or commodity selection level. So there is two layers of alpha generation which is happening out here. If you see most multi-asset funds in the market, what they do is that most of them follow a more static or strategic asset allocation. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that, let's say, if a client has put in 100 rupees, what we've generally looked at data is broadly around 55 to 60 would be in equities, 20-25 to fixed income, and the balance 10-15% to gold stroke silver. And when we look at the data, what we generally see is that asset allocation barely moves. Okay. Now let me try and kind of ask you this question in an anecdotal way, right? You must be watching cricket.
Yes.
Now imagine India's cricket team. They have the same lineup, irrespective of where they're playing. Okay, so let's say if they're playing in India, if they're playing in Australia, or they're playing in England, all three have pretty much different conditions. They have different pitches.
Yes.
Will it be logical for India to be playing the same team in all the three places?
Not really.
Not really, right? You will actually kind of adapt
to the
to the pitch situation. You could also adapt to the lineup itself, depending on how many batsmen do you need, how many all-rounders do you want, and how many bowlers that you want, right? And even within bowlers, you want the fast bowlers, the spinners,
and their performances.
Exactly. Now the point here is that, which means that if you can't have the same batting lineup or the same lineup across different conditions, then how can you have a portfolio which is exactly the same way allocated, irrespective of the market conditions?
I second to that, Bhautik. Even I believe, because every asset, be it equity or gold or debt, they have had their own, purple patch periods. But now the question is, timing the market is like extreme difficult thing. How would the fund ensure that happens?
Yeah, I think what we are saying is that we are not here to predict the markets. Okay, so we have built a statistical approach, right? And these are common approaches that are followed globally.
Yes.
So these are not approaches which are uncommon. These are tried, tested, well-researched approaches, which is what we also, at a group level have been researching, have been deploying across certain strategies. And that's the kind of subset that we have developed and kind of put in place for the mutual fund as well.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me try and take an example out here. Imagine a portfolio. Okay, or let's take an example of, again, the cricket team. Let's say I have a cricket team where you just have one batsman scoring 80% of the runs. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's say he's doing that for a few matches.
Yes.
That's good for the team because he's scoring 80% of the runs, and let's say we are winning. Okay. But imagine the risk that you're running, that if that one batsman fails, is that portfolio or is that team fragile or is it a robust team?
Yeah.
And now think about it. Let's say if you have a portfolio which may be allocating 60 out of 100 rupees to equities.
Yes.
But because you're expecting that one asset class to do well, is technically contributing to almost 80% of the risk.
Majority of multi-asset funds are into equity, 60-80%.
Now imagine if that one asset class fails, then how is the portfolio going to be resilient?
Yes.
Okay. So that's exactly what we are trying to solve for here. So the approaches that we have are more risk-based. So what we are saying is that, let's say in a particular situation, if one asset class starts dominating the risk, or starts, if the risk allocation goes up, we will keep readjusting it, which means that at all points of time, the portfolio is a lot more resilient, a lot more balanced.
But if you go by the mandate, which says that, minimum 10% allocation hona chahiye 3 asset class mein. And we have a lot of multi-asset funds out there already.
Yes.
So my question is, what would be your edge for an investor who is, still considering to invest in a multi-asset fund?
मैं बताता हूँ. तो सी हमने क्या किया ना हमारे फंड में, हमने बोला है कि yes, minimum mandate 10% का है.
हाँ.
Okay. So 10% equity में, 10% fixed income में, 10% commodities में. That's a minimum mandate. But from flexibility point of view, हमने क्या किया है कि our equity allocation can go from a minimum of 10% to 60%. हम लोग का fixed income allocation भी 10 से 60 जा सकता है. And commodity allocation 10 से 40 जा सकता है. Okay, ये एक है. दूसरा हमने क्या किया है कि because ये पूरा quantitative approach है, हमने इसको last almost 20 साल के लिए इंडियन मार्केट में टेस्ट किया.
Okay.
ओके, सेइंग दैट कि यही मॉडल अगर जो हमने ये 20 साल चलाया होता, जो अपन बैक
हम्म।
टेस्ट बोलते हैं, उसके लिए हमने उसको टेस्ट किया,
हम्म।
सेइंग दैट हमने अगर जो यही एसेट एलोकेशन वाला मॉडल 20 साल के लिए अगर जो टेस्ट किया होता, एंड उसको हमने हमारा जो क्वांटिटेटिव स्टॉक सिलेक्शन या कमोडिटी सिलेक्शन का मॉडल है, उसको भी अगर जो साथ में टेस्ट किया, तो हमारे रिजल्ट्स कैसे दिखते हैं। ओके, तो लेट मी गिव यू सम ब्रॉड रिजल्ट्स आउट हियर। तो इन 20 सालों में अगर जो हमने हमारा एसेट एलोकेशन का अल्फा या एसेट एलोकेशन का अप्रोच और स्टॉक सिलेक्शन प्लस कमोडिटी सिलेक्शन का अप्रोच अगर जो डिप्लॉय किया होता, तो इन 20 सालों में इस अप्रोच ने ब्रॉडली 14% का CAGR बनाया था।
ओके।
ओके, नाउ अगेन मैं सिर्फ रिटर्न की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं। नाउ ये 14% का CAGR जो रिस्क के साथ आया है वो भी इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो रिस्क में दो चीजें हम देखते हैं क्रिटिकली, एक है स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन, वॉलेटिलिटी, कि हम लोग का पोर्टफोलियो कितना वॉलेटाइल था। तो वो जो वॉलेटिलिटी आई है वो तकरीबन 7-7.5% की है।
ओके।
और जो मैक्सिमम ड्रॉडाउन है, मैक्सिमम ड्रॉडाउन का मतलब ये है कि भाई एट एनी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम हाईएस्ट पॉइंट से लोएस्ट पॉइंट तक पोर्टफोलियो कितना गिर सकता था या करेक्ट हुआ था, दैट नंबर इज अराउंड 13-13.5%।
ओके,
ठीक है। नाउ इसको पर्सपेक्टिव में डालते हैं।
यस।
ओके, सो लेट्स से एक ऑल्टरनेटिव लेते हैं निफ्टी का। लेट्स से ये सेम 19-20 साल के पीरियड में अगर जो किसी ने निफ्टी में पैसा लगाया होता है, इक्विटी मार्केट्स में, एंड निफ्टी को अपन बैरोमीटर ले सकते हैं इक्विटी मार्केट्स, राइट। इस सेम पीरियड में निफ्टी ने रिटर्न जो जनरेट किया है वो तकरीबन 11.25-11.5% का CAGR है। आप ये सोचिए, मेरा पूरा का पूरा 100 रुपया निफ्टी में है, विच इज हम लोग के हिसाब से इज द बेस्ट जनरेटिंग और बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग एसेट क्लास। ओके, उसने 11.5% का CAGR जनरेट किया है। हमने डायनामिकली एलोकेट करके हमारा मैक्सिमम 60% तक जा सकता है ना, बिकॉज मॉडल में कैप है 7% का, उसके बावजूद हमने 14% का CAGR जनरेट किया। ओके, पहली बात तो वो एज पर द मॉडल। दूसरा, वॉलेटिलिटी देखते हैं। इन 20 इयर्स पीरियड में निफ्टी की वॉलेटिलिटी ये 11.5% रिटर्न जनरेट करने के लिए इस तकरीबन 20% एनुअलाइज्ड वॉलेटिलिटी, जो हमारे मॉडल के हिसाब से जो बैकटेस्ट में आ रहा है वो 7.5% की है, लेस देन हाफ। और तीसरा जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है, ओके, इज ड्रॉडाउन। तो इन 20 सालों में द मैक्सिमम फॉल जो हमने निफ्टी में देखा है फ्रॉम हाईएस्ट टू लोएस्ट पॉइंट इज अराउंड 60%। ओके, 60।
यस।
ओके, जो हमारे केस में बिकॉज ऑफ द एसेट एलोकेशन बीइंग डायनामिक वो रिड्यूस होके 13-13.5%। अभी इसका आप इंपैक्ट देखिए। सी जनरली क्या होता है ना कि इन्वेस्टिंग में काफी लोग क्या है ना रिटर्न जनरेट करते हैं नॉट जस्ट बेस्ड ऑन कि उन्होंने कौन से फंड में लगाया है, बट कब लगाया है और कब निकाल दिया। वो जो एक बिहेवियरल एस्पेक्ट है ना, वो बहुत मैटर करता है। नाउ इमेजिन अ जर्नी कि लेट्स से 20 साल पहले दो जन गाड़ी में बैठे, उन्होंने जर्नी स्टार्ट की, इन्वेस्टिंग जर्नी। ओके, लेट्स से दोनों का एंड पॉइंट था कि मुझे 20 साल तक इन्वेस्टेड रहना है, ठीक है, और एक गोल तक पहुंचना है। एक जन ने चालू किया निफ्टी में, एक जन ने चालू किया लेट्स से हमारे मल्टी एसेट अप्रोच में। ओके, आप इमेजिन कीजिए कि निफ्टी वाली जर्नी में कितनी बार ऐसे पॉइंट आए होंगे। फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने चालू किया 2007 में, 2008 में ही मार्केट 60% डाउन। ओके, क्या मैं वो गाड़ी में बैठे रहता? उसके बाद 2011 में वापस आई सॉ अ बिग फॉल। ओके, उसके बाद मैंने 2015 में करेक्शन देखा। ओके, 2018 में मैंने IL&FS क्राइसिस देखा, 2020 में मैंने कोविड देखा, 2022 में मैंने रशिया यूक्रेन देखा, एंड देन लेट्स से अभी का पीरियड कि भाई 2 साल से मार्केट नहीं बढ़ा है, पैसे नहीं बना रहा है। आप इमेजिन कीजिए कि इस जर्नी में कितनी बार उसको बम्प्स, स्पीड ब्रेकर्स कितनी बार आए होते हैं, एंड वो इन्वेस्टर कितनी बार अनकंफर्टेबल हो गया होता कि भाई मुझे ये जर्नी करनी भी है कि नहीं, और शुड आई जस्ट गेट ऑफ द कार।
Looking at the
returns and looking at how bumpy the journey is, right? It's not comfortable, for example. और उसी को वही जर्नी अगर जो मैं उसको ये मल्टी एसेट बोलता, the ride would have been way smoother. यही सारे बीच में पॉइंट्स आए, क्राइसिस आए, कुछ भी आया, बट मैंने इतना ड्रॉप नहीं देखा पोर्टफोलियो में, right? So the ride automatically is looking smoother. And logically speaking, the investor will actually be taking a peaceful ride, probably just sleeping through, and वो अपने एंड पॉइंट तक भी पहुंचता। तो यहाँ पे दो चीजें अचीव हो रही है। एक ये है कि द इन्वेस्टर बिहेवियरली इज स्टिकिंग अराउंड, राइट, एंड नॉट रिएक्टिंग टू मार्केट साइकिल्स। बस काफी बार वो होता है, राइट, और इंडस्ट्री डेटा भी बता रहा है आप कैम्स का डेटा देखोगे, कार्वी का देखोगे, म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री का डेटा देखोगे, तो एवरेज होल्डिंग पीरियड इन म्यूचुअल फंड्स इज लेस देन 2 years. तो हम लोग, एक बात होती है बोलना लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टिंग,
it's not
दूसरा होता है टू एक्चुअली इम्प्लीमेंट इट, राइट? सो वो अगर जो इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हो पा रहा है, वो क्यों नहीं इम्प्लीमेंट हो रहा है, वो अपने को समझने की जरूरत है.
I have a question.
Sure.
In a traditional mutual fund case,
Right.
mutual fund schemes case, it's the fund manager who tweaks it. How would it work in a quant ke case mein?
So again, couple of things here. One is what we have seen is that most multi-asset funds तो एक fixed allocation चलाते हैं. कुछ एक हैं जो
dynamic है.
कुछ डायनामिक है और वहां पे लेट्स से कोई या तो अप्रोच है या तो फंड मैनेजर कॉल ले रहा है. ना होता क्या है कि वहां पे कि एक है, अगर जो इफ इट्स अ ह्यूमन टेकिंग अ डिसीजन, तो लॉजिकली स्पीकिंग आप खुद सोचिए कि एक बायस, इमोशन हमेशा आते रहेगा, एंड डिफरेंट मार्केट सिचुएशंस में एज अ ह्यूमन will I be behaving the same way? So the point I'm coming to is, can I bring in the same discipline? कि हर बार अगर जो कोई सिनारियो आ रहा है, will I act in the same way or will I act differently? दूसरा ये है कि as a human, क्या मैं इतना सारा डेटा प्रोसेस कर सकता हूँ for me to be taking the decision in the same way, in a disciplined way, every time something happens.
Yes.
Right? So ये दूसरी चीज है. एंड लेट्स से हमने जो कुछ एक मॉडल्स ये भी देखे कि वो क्या है ना, कि एक मैक्रो अप्रोच फॉलो करते हैं फॉर एसेट एलोकेशन. नाउ मैक्रो में क्या होता है कि जनरली यू लुकिंग एट रेशियोज लाइक पी रेशियो, प्राइस टू बुक रेशियो, मे बी कपल ऑफ अदर पैरामीटर्स. नाउ ये जो पैरामीटर्स है ना, दीज डोंट चेंज वेरी फ्रीक्वेंटली. ए बी, ये जो पैरामीटर्स है, दे आर बेस्ड ऑन अ सर्टेन हिस्टोरिकल बिहेवियर ऑफ द मार्केट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, काफी मॉडल्स क्या करेंगे, बोलेंगे कि भाई लास्ट 10 साल का एवरेज पी रेशियो x था, लेट्स से एवरेज पी रेशियो 20 का था, तो 20 के नीचे अगर जो करंट पी है तो मार्केट सस्ता है, 20 के ऊपर है तो मार्केट महंगा है. नाउ हियर द सिंपल अजम्पशन इज कि जो लास्ट 10 साल में एवरेज पी रेशियो था वही आगे चलते रहेगा. इज दैट नेसेसरी दैट्स गोना हैपन?
Not really.
राइट, बिकॉज़ द वर्ल्ड इज डायनामिक. लाइक to take give you another example of, you know, dynamism and correlations. Before 2022, there used to be a simple assumption in US कि भाई equity और fixed income के बीच में negative correlation है. Okay, and that's the reason generally in the US एक portfolio approach है जिसको बोलते हैं 60-40. 60% equity में पैसा जाता था, 40% debt में जाता था. कोई negative correlation है, जब भी equity market गिरेगा मुझे fixed income cushion करके देगा returns. Right, drawdown कम हो जाएगा, volatility कम हो जाएगी. 2022 आया, सेम ईयर में इक्विटी मार्केट 18-20% डाउन, सेम ईयर में फिक्स्ड इनकम ने भी 12-13% का नेगेटिव रिटर्न दिया बिकॉज इंटरेस्ट रेट्स वेंट अप. दैट हैड नॉट हैपेंड इन द यूएस फॉर डेकेड्स बिफोर दैट. बट बिकॉज वो डेकेड्स तक नहीं हो रहा था, लोग एक असम्पशन के साथ चल रहे थे कि ये चलता है.
But then how fast would a model adapt to this?
मैं आपको वही बोल रहा हूँ. इन आवर केस, बिकॉज इट्स अ स्टैटिस्टिकल अप्रोच.
Okay.
Right, and statistical approach is looking at more recent data. Right, plus it is an approach which at all points of time is a combination of few things. So one is, let's say, what we call risk parity. तो वो automatically क्या है ना कि risk based multiple asset classes में adjustment करते रहता है. So it doesn't let one asset class overshadow or have an overbearing effect on the portfolio. To give you some numbers here, in our portfolio or this approach, last 20 सालों में, मैंने आपको जो numbers बताए, so industry जैसे बता रहे थे कि mostly broadly 60% equity, 25% fixed income, 10-15% gold silver. In our case, the same numbers for the three asset classes over the last 20 years is average equity exposure is around 30%.
Okay.
Half of normal multi-asset
Industry
funds.
average,
Our average commodity exposure is around 25-26%, which is almost 70-80% more than the 10-15% that you generally see in most multi-asset funds. Right? And the balance, let's say 40-45% is fixed income. तो आप ये समझिए कि the portfolio is having a balanced approach on an average basis, but ऐसा नहीं कि हम लोग always 30% equity में है, 30% या 25% commodities में है. To give you a range, in this 20-year period, हम लोग का equity exposure minimum 11% तक गया है, maximum 55% तक गया है. And in fact, this swing from 11 to 55 has happened within a 12-month period.
Wow.
So that's how quickly the model can change.
Yes.
Now आप खुद सोचिए, can a P ratio change by that much in a year for the model to change that exposure? to that extent.
You know, speaking of commodities, I was going through fund के documents and
Sure.
मुझे काफी interesting चीज दिखी. Mostly multi-asset funds में when we say commodities, gold, silver सबको
Yes,
लगता है, but you
yes.
also have copper and crude. So
Yes.
can you like talk about it?
Sure,
Why?
sure. So see, for any multi-asset strategy, and considering the fact that कि हम लोग globally भी multi-asset strategies चलाते हैं, you know, at a group level, the whole premise for any multi-asset strategies कि आप जितने instruments में diversify करोगे, जिनका correlation एक दूसरे के साथ कम है, right? That much better is the portfolio. उतना resilience बढ़ जाता है. That's the whole, you know, the reason for doing a multi-asset strategy, right? Otherwise तो आप एक ही asset class में डाल दो जिसमें highest return expected है. आप diversify क्यों करते हो? क्योंकि आपको resilience चाहिए portfolio में और कुछ, you know, consistency चाहिए. तो इंडिया में हमने जब देखा तो हमने बोला कि भाई इक्विटी तो व्हाट इज अवेलेबल सो इक्विटी में भी हम लोग इस पोर्टफोलियो में वी आर स्टिकिंग टू लार्ज कैप्स एंड मिड कैप्स. फिक्स्ड इनकम में अगेन यू नो वी आर जनरली लुकिंग टू रन अ यू नो लाइक अ 2-3 year kind of a carry portfolio. Okay, and plus we will also have exposure to REIT and InvITs.
Yes.
Okay, within equity, within fixed income. Now commodities mein, from a regulatory standpoint, we are allowed to invest in a certain number of commodities. And what we realize is that within this, how do we have exposure to the most liquid commodities and we can get the maximum diversification. Okay, so in that what we looked at is gold, silver, crude and copper, all four of them have enough and more liquidity to participate. So when we can diversify across more number of instruments, then we might as well do that. Again, the other thing is that why we are comfortable doing it is because at a group level, we are already trading these commodities. Okay, so we already have research capabilities within the group, right? Which, you know, kind of allow us to have models around copper and crude as well, or the commodity picking around some of these things.
बट बिकॉज इस स्कीम में इतने सारे एसेट्स हैं, है ना. यूजली अगर एक प्योर इक्विटी स्कीम होती है तो ठीक है, मुझे निफ्टी इंडेक्स से बेंचमार्किंग करनी है, आई विल डू. एक रिटेल इन्वेस्टर को कैसे इवैल्यूएट करना चाहिए कि ओके, इफ दिस इज अ मल्टी एसेट स्कीम, this should be the benchmark and this is how they can compare and evaluate?
So see, एक होता है they can, you know, compare it to a certain benchmark and evaluate. I would put it slightly differently.
Okay.
हम लोग का starting point जो था ना ये मॉडल बनाने का was that can we come up with a model, okay, or a strategy जो अगर जो कोई client let's say 3 साल के ऊपर के लिए पैसा लगा रहा है, let's say हमने अगर जो ये सेम चीज 20 साल में की होती तो in most periods can we get double digit CAGRs,
okay,
with as low risk as possible. Okay, तो हमने हमारे तो that was a starting point of a model to try and achieve that. Future में होगा नहीं होगा, time will tell. But at least in that last 20-year period when we backtested this, what we have got is median returns. Median मतलब अगर जो कोई client ने 3 साल के लिए इन 20 सालों में लगाया होता, median means that in most periods, okay, not average. Right? Median मतलब in most periods or most number of instances उसका कितना return होता. तो in our case in that 20-year period, median returns are around 13-14%. So what I'm trying to say is that कि अगर जो कोई client को double digit CAGR बनाना है, if that itself is, let's say, you know, a hurdle that he wants to achieve or a target that he wants to achieve, right, with as low risk as possible, then this is the product which can help them achieve.
Okay.
And as far as I understand, most clients are looking to beat inflation.
Yes.
Right? That's the reason they're coming from fixed income to mutual funds into any of the strategies.
Yes.
कि मुझे inflation से ज़्यादा returns चाहिए. Right? On a post-tax basis. Now, on a post-tax basis, अगर जो I can get a product which can give me consistency, can give me decent enough alpha over inflation, then can that kind of become like a core allocation of my portfolio without worrying about कि benchmark क्या है क्या नहीं? Because a 12% compounded return over a long period of time is, you know, is a number which is very, very strong. It can generate phenomenal wealth, right? So
especially
if I want to,
given the recent cycle and returns we are seeing.
Yes. See, like just to talk about the recent period, right? Like imagine this. Let's say somebody had invested in the markets 4 years back. Cut to 2 years back, they would be looking at way higher CAGRs in the portfolio. Okay. Today, after 2 years, right, now that they have had a 4-year period, because they've stuck around, let's say with equities, you're looking at far lower CAGRs.
Yes. Now,
I'm just saying with hindsight, anybody would be thinking, had I taken some money off the table at that point of time,
Yes.
cut my equity exposure,
Yes.
and moved, let's say, to fixed income or to gold at that point of time,
Mm-hmm.
I would have not just had that profit on paper, I would have actually booked some profits. And opportunistically, ये 2 साल में जो मैंने equity में पैसा नहीं बनाया, या to a certain extent पैसा तोड़ा, वो मैं कहीं और डाल के पैसा बना सकता था. तो it's like a double whammy, right?
Yes.
कि मैंने एक तो मैंने जो पैसा बनाया था वो भी मेरा नीचे हो गया, बिकॉज मेरा 2 साल का कंपाउंडिंग चला गया. दूसरा, मैंने अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट लूज कर दी. उसी टाइम के मैंने अगर जो कोई और एसेट क्लास में पैसा लगाया होता, तो आई वुड एक्चुअली मेड रिटर्न्स एंड बुक दोस प्रॉफिट्स एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम.
बट ऑल्सो बिकॉज ये एक मल्टी एसेट फंड है, इसका टैक्सेशन इज डिफरेंट देन प्योर इक्विटी और डेट फंड. देयर इज ऑल्सो दिस थिंग कि ठीक है, अगर 65% इक्विटी ज्यादा होगा, 65% से ज्यादा एलोकेशन या डेट, इट विल फॉलो दैट रेस्पेक्टिव टैक्सेशन. But now we also talked about it's dynamic, or within a very short time span it keeps changing. So how does taxation work?
No, it's a very relevant point. तो हमारा net exposure तो equity का 10 से 60 जा सकता है, but gross exposure we will maintain at minimum 35%.
Okay.
उससे क्या होगा कि any investor coming into the fund, उनको long term capital gain benefit के लिए they will have to stay invested for 2 years.
So when we say net, we are reducing the derivative positions.
Not derivative positions. See, let's say for example, मेरा model आज बोल रहा है कि net equity exposure needs to be 20% and not 35.
Okay.
तो वो जो balance 15% है, that we can manage through either running arbitrage trades, cash future, or now we can also take an exposure through REITs.
Okay.
Because REIT is also counted towards equities. Right? So between that combination of arbitrage and REIT, we will ensure that whenever the net exposure is below 35, we will gross it up to minimum 35% from a tax point of view, so that the scheme gets the hybrid scheme taxation benefit from a long-term capital gain benefit for 2 years.
So 65% is for the net?
Not 65. So there are, so there are two things now. Okay, so a few years back, there was a change in the taxation in the budget where for anybody to get long-term capital gain benefit after 1 year, it's considered as equity scheme. वो कोई भी scheme में minimum net gross equity exposure has to be maintained at 65%.
Okay.
Average. Okay. अगर जो मेरा 65 नहीं है, but मेरा equity exposure 35 to 65 के बीच में है, तब भी I can get long-term capital gain benefit, but मेरा holding period 2 साल का हो जाएगा. रेट सेम है आज की तारीख में. मुझे 12.5% ही long-term capital gains tax भरना है. बट मेरा होल्डिंग पीरियड 2 साल हो जाएगा इफ माय नेट मतलब इक्विटी एक्सपोजर इज बिटवीन 35% टू 65%. सो हमारा उस कैटेगरी में आएगा कि हम लोग का ग्रॉस इक्विटी एक्सपोजर विल बी बिटवीन 35 to 65%.
आई हैव अनदर क्वेश्चन, Bhautik. Now this is your maiden fund, right? Or we already have 50 plus AMCs in India abhi, and most of them already have their multi-asset fund. A retail investor watching this, मोस्टली क्या होता है, रिटेल इन्वेस्टर या तो फंड के प्रीवियस परफॉर्मेंस को देखते हैं या फिर एएमसी के एग्जिस्टिंग अदर फंड्स को देखते हैं. इन अल्फा ग्रैप्स केस, बिकॉज दिस इज योर फर्स्ट रिटेल फंड, what would be your elevator pitch?
So the way I look at it is that it's a very relevant question. So पहली बात तो ये है कि भाई just because हम एक नई एएमसी है doesn't mean that somebody should trust us day one. Right? दूसरा मैं ये बोलूँगा कि I will talk about 2-3 things. So one is that भले as a AMC या as a mutual fund हम नए हैं, but as a firm तो हम 16 साल पुराने हैं. Right? आज 16 सालों से हम ना ही इंडिया में, but now we have a presence globally. 500 employees है, 200 plus quant researchers है ग्रुप में, 100 plus people on technology है, trading across multiple asset classes. आज सक्सेसफुल रहे तब जाके हम ये स्केल पे पहुंचे हैं, राइट? दूसरा आप देखोगे तो हम इंडिया में ऑलरेडी 4 सालों से एसेट मैनेजमेंट में हैं. सो ऐसा नहीं कि हम सभी रेगुलेटेड प्रोडक्ट्स नहीं चला रहे हैं. द ओनली डिफरेंस इज कि वो प्रोडक्ट्स म्यूचुअल फंड में नहीं थे, वो पीएमएस एआईएफ प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे थे. तो ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड भी है. सो आज अगर जो कोई इन्वेस्टर है, उनको अगर जो सेबी पे जाना है, एपी पे जाना है, वो ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड हमारा देख सकते हैं कि पीएमएस का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड क्या रहा है, राइट? आज काफी सारे ऐसे कॉमन प्लेटफॉर्म्स है जो एआईएफ का भी ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड शेयर करते हैं. वहाँ पे जाके हमारे लॉन्ग शॉर्ट फंड्स का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड देख सकते हैं. ठीक है. सो वी आर ऑलरेडी रनिंग स्ट्रैटेजीज जिनका ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड है इंडिया में, प्लस एज अ ग्रुप हमारे पास 16 साल की पेडिग्री है. सो बोथ दीज थिंग्स एग्जिस्ट. यस, म्यूचुअल फंड में फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम है, ओके, बट वो कहीं ना कहीं तो शुरुआत करनी है,
राइट?
करेक्ट. टू योर अदर पॉइंट, you know, how are we kind of different? Obviously we've discussed a lot of things. net the way I look at it is that कि investor in my mind दो चीजें देख रहे हैं. एक तो ये है कि मुझे लॉन्ग टर्म वेल्थ क्रिएशन करना है. दूसरा ये है कि मुझे मार्केट में बिहेवियरली एक्ट नहीं करना है कि जब भी मार्केट साइकिल आए या कोई रिस्क आए, राइट, मैं घबरा जाऊं, डर जाऊं एंड मैं रॉन्ग डिसीजन ले लूं in terms of investing in which asset class or not investing somewhere, right? ये दो चीजों को हम लोग ये एक फंड के थ्रू सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, ट्राई कर रहे हैं सॉल्व करने की. वेल्थ क्रिएशन वी आर ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व फॉर सेइंग दैट कि भाई कंसिस्टेंट बेसिस पे अगर जो ये डबल डिजिट CAGR बना सकता है ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, राइट, एंड रिस्क मिनिमाइज कर सकता है, तो बिहेवियरली भी इन्वेस्टर विल स्टिक अराउंड. सो ये दोनों चीजों का प्रॉब्लम वी आर ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व फॉर विद वन फंड. Okay, and that's the reason we are launching this as the maiden fund.
So what type of target audience you're looking at with this fund?
See, target audience wise, I would say anybody who is, let's say, not shooting for the moon, saying that I want to make, let's say, 20% plus CAGRs or 25% CAGRs. And I'm relatively happy in my core portfolio to get, double digit CAGRs. I'm not just trying to maximize returns, but I want certain consistent performance. Right, is also has an eye on risk.
Yes.
Saying that I want consistency. I don't want to see sharp drawdowns. A lot of times ये भी होता है कि लोग बोलते हैं कि भाई I'm okay with a sharp drawdown. But जैसे drawdown होता है behavior change होता है.
Yes.
Lot of people might be saying कि भाई 1-2 साल पैसा नहीं बनेगा चलेगा. But now when you ask people, जब 2 साल से पैसा नहीं बन रहा है, तो are people getting a little edgy or not? They have to ask themselves. Right. So ये सारे जो questions है, right, ये सारे जो challenges है behaviorally, right, that is what we are trying to solve for out here, which means that anybody who is broadly happy with like a double digit CAGR with lower risk should be a target investor here.
Okay.
Right. And another thing I would say is that anybody who's starting their investment journey, who's relatively new, right, instead of straight away, let's say, switching from fixed deposits to straight away equities,
large
right?
cap basically, yeah,
right, I would say try this out, because what will happen is that your experience of investing, we believe, will be generally smoother, right, and you will not be exposed to the vagaries of the market volatility to that extent. So this is a better way to start off, and once you have this experience, then you can build on like core satellite jo bolte hain, then when you want to, let's say, take some aggressive approach, you want to try and target higher returns, you can have this as core and have a satellite portfolio around it, where you can, let's say, try small cap funds, mid cap funds, which can potentially generate higher returns, but also take higher risk.
Yes, makes sense. Now this question was for retail investors. I have question for business, which is close to 40% AUM सारे multi asset fund का is managed by one AMC, right? And you will be the new entrant in the market.
Yes.
How would you ensure कि Alpha Grab का fund reaches out to every retail investor out there? And this question is very interesting given we have seen another new entrant testing their digital distribution first, not traditional MFT route.
Right.
So what would be your plan?
That's the reason I'm sitting here, Kanishka. I think you will help us reach out to all investors out there.
Okay.
No, so see, from our point of view, the way we look at business is that we are not saying we want to follow only X or Y approach.
Okay.
When I say X or Y, meaning we want to only go the MFT route or distribution route, or we only want to go the direct route, right? We want to do a combination.
Okay.
We are saying that ultimately, if you want to reach a wider segment of people, there are segment of investors who are happy dealing with distribution. There are segment of people who are happy doing it on their own, right? Through digital platforms or any other platform,
yes,
right? And we don't, we have no specific thing about कि हमको यही segment को target करना है, because we don't think our product is suited to only one segment. Na? If a product is suitable to any segment in the market, right, then why should we have an approach of only going to one of these X or Y? So we are going across the board. We are working very closely with distribution. We've been doing that on our existing set of AIF PMS as well, right, where we were working closely with, let's say, wealth management outfits. Now, because mutual fund is a more retail product, यहाँ पे we are working, trying to work closely with mutual fund distributors. We're trying to work closely with, let's say, national distributors. So that's something that we're doing in addition to our wealth partners. And at the same time, what we're also trying to do is try to reach directly through digital platforms like yours, right, and reach out to the set of people who want to invest directly, want to take that decision on their own, right? जो DIY investors बोलते हैं.
Yes. Now, since you will be catering to retail investors, I have one question. Mutual fund सही है, इतने सालों से चलता आ रहा है. फिर
Yes.
भी still we have retail household penetration around 7%.
Yes.
What do you think is still something which the industry is yet to crack, and what could be the biggest reason holding retail investors to invest?
See, the way I look at it, Kanishka, is that I don't think most people wake up every day thinking कि मेरे पास जो भी बैंक अकाउंट में पैसा पड़ा है मुझे कहीं इन्वेस्ट कर देना चाहिए.
True that.
Okay. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because in my view, the whole mutual fund Sahi campaign has been amazing.
Yes.
It has converted some of that push into some kind of a pull. But we're still not, a country where this entire push is going to become purely
Yes.
pull, where everybody starts thinking, bhai, mutual fund is the only place where I have to invest, right? Because for everybody, there's a different gratification that they get from, let's say, investing, let's say, whether it's mutual funds, whether it's real estate, whether any real asset as well,
Yes.
or for that matter, spending.
Yes.
Okay. So if that is the case, then I think it's a journey. I think in that journey, the pace has improved. I've spent the last 20 plus years in asset management, and what I saw back in the day, let's say, in the beginning of my career, let's say around 2005, 6, 7, to now, I think the number of people investing, the number of people recommending funds, the number of people distributing has gone up substantially.
Yes.
So there has been amazing progress. So I think we are in the right path. It is very important that it is also done it the right way. So that, see, the fact remains that, yes, a lot of people have come from, not investing in mutual funds to mutual funds. A large part of that money has gone into equities, right? But the fact also remains that in the last close to a decade, we've not seen any serious corrections in the market.
Yes.
Other than COVID, which was, again, in my view, like a blip. Okay. So, and markets are never going to be hunky-dory, right? Like, markets will go through cycles. They've done that in the past. They will do that in the future.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, then, we need not just investors coming in, but we need investors to be coming in the right way so that they stick around. Right? So that the experience is correct. Right? We don't want that, yes, we got, a flurry of investors coming in, and then for whatever reason, Khuda na khasta, if we have a sharp correction, and then we have a set of investors saying that, oh, this is not where I want to invest, let me go back to my fixed deposits or whatever else that I was doing. Right? That's not something that you want. Because I've seen that in the past, in 2008. Right? We saw a flurry of investors coming in, because to be honest, the bull market cycle from 04 to almost 08 first half was a much bigger bull market than what we've seen
right
from
after
21
the COVID.
to 24 phase, right? And obviously at that point of time also we attracted tons of new investors to the industry, and then 2008 happened.
Yes.
Right? And I believe a lot of those investors who came in that period and experienced 2008, I think, just burned their fingers, hands in such a way that probably never came back to mutual funds, or maybe for a long period didn't come back, right? So what we want is people to be coming in, right, and taking the steps in the right manner, rather than jumping from step 1 to step 10, which is to say that, मैं सीधा FD से mid cap fund, small cap fund में जाता हूँ.
Yes.
Right? I think to do it the right way, focus on asset allocation, these are important things. And that's exactly one of the reasons why we thought of the first fund as multi-asset. Because you would have seen a lot of other fund houses, tend to launch, like, let's say, an equity strategy or flexi cap fund as one of their flagship products. We decided to not do that.
Yeah, especially in this market, it's not making sense.
We didn't know about the market condition, right, when we planned for the fund, which is a few months back. But it was not the market condition which was a decision-making factor for us.
Okay.
It was more about the fact that how can we give investors an experience where they are generating certain returns, which we believe, are inflation plus, which we believe are good for, most portfolios, which is, like I said, that 10-12% CAGR handle, with lower risk and some amount of consistency. That was our starting point. And that's the reason we thought of this multi-asset fund as the first one. And at the same time, where we can deploy our expertise to the maximum, right? Because like I said, asset allocation, doing it right, dynamically is very, very important.
Yes.
Right? And to our mind, it's more important than stock selection.
Okay, Bhautik, time to switch gears.
Sure.
We'll start with our rapid fire round.
I remember that last time, yes.
Yes. So I'll ask the question, whatever comes to your mind first, you have to answer.
Okay,
Shall we start?
please.
One asset class you think is most misunderstood by retail investors right now?
Equity.
Equity, gold, or debt, if you had to hold only one for the next 10 years, what would that be?
Equity, naturally.
Your model says buy, your gut says don't. Which one wins?
Model.
One word to describe the average Indian retail investor's relationship with risk.
Recency bias.
SIP into a multi-asset fund or lump sum into an index fund for a first-time investor.
SIP into a multi-asset.
The most overrated metric in mutual fund investing.
Last 1 year performance.
SEBI should dash the mutual fund industry, fill in the blank.
Tough one. Create more transparency.
And the last question, quant investing in India 5 years from now, mainstream or still niche?
I definitely believe a lot more mainstream than it is today. Like today, it's as good as, non-existent.
All right, Bhautik, with that, we wrap up this episode of Investing with FYERS. It's always delight talking to you and, having so much insights.
No, pleasure is always mine, and I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much, Kanishka.
Thank
having
you.
me here.
And also, I'll wish you all the best for your new fund.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For that.
Investment and securities markets are subject to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.